ashes down, choose your adventure, cause eventually you're ashes. So I live for my passions, ain't no life passing me by, I'm all about action. We can talk about it later when we feel the effects, cause they were lasting. Putting in the work now, so later we can kick back. I ain't got no 401k, just a click track. Making something out of nothing, then that something gives back. Residual energy, call that the feedback. Loop it up and make a new arrangement, then bump that to infinity and back to the present, where we put it on wax so we can deliver the message to the people tuning in on the earbuds, or if they hear it on the speakers in the big club. These days it's rare to hear something unique. Copycats copying copycats and sounding weak. I'm here to leave an impression, cause it seems the rap scene is in a depression. It's really that simple. Placid, had to shake it up, change the perception. Laughing instead of crying and complaining, control the emotions. Even when it's raining, the grass is growing, and I'm knowing that it takes hardship to build character. That's why I'm breathing it in, don't need an air filter. Building up resistance, immune to the garbage. Sticking to my heart, that's the life of an artist. Hardest thing I've done is stay true to it. A lot of cats fall off, don't follow through with it. I try to not get lost when I'm looking for myself. The moral compass guides us to find the true north. Stick to the path, I stay on course. Of course I lost my way a couple times to find my voice. Now that I found it, I'ma use it, make some noise. Better yet, some music so our souls can rejoice.
All right. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be in this crazy, chaotic, awakening, transformative planet of ours. This is Metaphysical Meetup with Marc live here on the Intuitive Prospector Facebook page. We are streaming over on our other group pages. So if you want to visit those, it's Soul Adventures, Spiritual Beings Having Human Experiences, Inspired Living Podcast. So we are streaming through those pages if you want to join those groups as well. But thank you for being here today. Let me just get over to the Facebook page. I do apologize. We are a little late this morning just for the fact that we were having some issues with Zoom. Zoom did an update and everything changed, including the camera angles, the sound. So if you're new, thanks for being here. Nice to meet you. I'm Marc Lainhart. I go by my business name, which is the Intuitive Prospector, but it's also a concept of which I live my life today to prospect for the many mysteries, curiosities, unknowns of our planet, what is seen and also what is unseen from a, whether you want to call it a spiritual perspective, a spiritual awakening, a scientific approach, a metaphysical approach, working with things from your own experiences. So maybe you've had, like myself, I've had a near-death experience. I've had a UAP, UFO experience as an experiencer. And so I come on Fridays for this to share my experiences, or what I call soul adventures, but also to give you, tips and information and education, like a spiritual smorgasbord, if you will, lay things out and let you pick and choose what you want as an intuitive prospector, prospecting for the things that you want, the things that you desire, the things that you're passionate about, the things that you maybe don't like, the things that may trigger you. I cover all aspects in my smorgasbord or my spiritual buffet. And it's, again, really teaching people that we can share our philosophies and our beliefs and our ideas, but at the same time, not mandate it, right? It's just, I'm sharing my experience in education and knowledge from my world, being in this world for over 50 years, and you decide if it resonates with you. It may not, and that's okay. And we can have a nice cup of coffee and a conversation. But that's what Metaphysical Meetup with Marc live on Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then depending on where you're at in this world, the time zones, because we have people joining us from all around the world. So good morning to my crew. Good morning to my moderators. Good morning to my spiritual Patreon prospectors. Good morning to my Diamonds Hub subscribers. I really appreciate you being here. Just trying to get over to the right page here. So grab your coffee, grab your tea. We're going to talk about a few different things this morning. Boy, we must be getting close to Mercury retrograde, which is in 2 days, by the way, August 4th. So we must be getting close, because I'm experiencing just different issues with technology. So that usually tells me that we've got something going on. So bear with me here. I apologize. I'm trying to get this all cleaned up here just a second. All right, there we go. Okay, so I'm on the page. I thought it was. Let me go back. Come on, Facebook. Come on. All right, we'll just go with it. So there's a couple things I was going to talk about this morning. A lot of times I don't know what the message is until right up before the show. I usually will sit on my green mat here and meditate and just think about, what's the message that I can get across for you today. And one of the things I was going to talk about is being a seer. And what does that mean to be a seer? And this is something that we were talking about in my development group, about the burdens and the blessings of seeing things that are coming that haven't actually dropped into our reality per se. So one of the things, not a political show, I don't subscribe to any political party, but one of the things that I was really feeling, things that I was really knowing, things that I was seeing, and based on my meditation, is that the current president was actually going to drop out of the presidential elections that we have going on here in the United States. And I shared this with my group last Wednesday, and I said, is anybody else feeling, because we check in like as a seer, this burden and the blessings of knowing things ahead of time, the psychic energy, if you will, the claircognizance of just knowing something, or precog, meaning seeing it before it actually happens. And it can be a very uncomfortable place for you if you've never experienced that. Now, for me, I've been doing this for many years now, but I remember when I first started getting these tune-ins, these downloads, these drops, it was a very uncomfortable feeling, because I'm like, what do I do with this? How do I process with this? Who do I share this with? And there's that old concept of, people will look at you as being crazy or insane because you no longer fit within the constructs of community conditioning, if you will. And so it took me a while to get over that. And this was stimulated by severe trauma and tragedy. And I talk about this in my book. This is my book, Reflections, about how that, losing my brothers and my father-in-law at the same time was very profound in triggering something within my energy, within my auric field, within my mind, or the pineal gland, because the mind is triggered by different experiences, life experiences, or what I call soul adventures. And for me, it was opening up to this new awareness, this new of seeing. Now, there's a lot of people that have seen that write. Gene Roddenberry is one who comes to mind from Star Trek, who talked about things that we would once consider science fiction has now become science fact. And one of the things I was talking with a colleague about recently was how we are such in a monetary system right now, capitalism. Everybody, we used to, before modern times, everybody used to contribute. I'm thinking of the indigenous cultures and the Native Americans that would work in community, and they would all have their gifts and their abilities, and they would, give to their community. They weren't competing against each other within their community. Now, maybe against another tribe, for territory, or, for resources, what have you. but there was this giving to the community. And once we got into the form of capitalism and everybody making their own, we've got millionaires, billionaires, soon to be trillionaires, and then we have people that are really, really poor because we're on a monetary system. And one of the things that Gene Roddenberry wrote about the future after the 21st century is that we wouldn't be in a monetary system, that everybody would work, for the collective good. Welcome to Star Trek, the universe, the Federation, if you will. And you got to wonder, with everything that's going on, from, I know there's people out there hurting from, inflation, high costs, people trying to invest, people that have lost their, lost all their money. But it makes you wonder about the future of a monetary system, because we're the only species that pays to live here, right? No other species fights with each other based on money. And again, it's funny because we're the only species that chops down trees, turns them into paper, and then writes on the paper and posts it back up on a tree or a telephone pole that's made of wood saying, save our planet, right? And it's just like, it's just the system is so unraveling at the highest levels, institutions, politics, government. And it's interesting to watch this all unfold because Gene Roddenberry wrote about this as a seer, as someone that could see into the future. And the future is never, set in stone. It's never guaranteed. But one of the things that we talk about as somebody that is a seer, we call them the seers. Some people have referred to me as the Seattle seer based on my local business here with the Intuitive Prospector to help people prospect for their own journey, consulting, mediumship, sound baths, healing, transformations, all that. But the seers are light workers who are clairvoyant in nature. And what that means is the clairvoyance is right here, the ability to see. And a lot of times in my teachings and in my group and for my students, I remind them that there's three eyes in our life. Two to look, which we see visually based on energy, based on color, based on what our retina allows the light in to see physically. But then we also have what we see in the physical world and what is unseen that's all around us. And I've, come to be a firm believer that just because we don't see it here does not mean it's not around us. The wind, the gravity, Wi-Fi. There's a lot of things that are, scientifically proven based on the microscope, the telescope, that shows us that there are things around us that we just don't see here. It's just vibrating at a different frequency, if you will. So seers are the light workers who are clairvoyant in nature. So if you're a clairvoyant or you're having this ability to see things ahead of time, but you're not sure what to do with that, that can be a very uncomfortable place to be. And I would recommend getting with a tutor, getting with a mentor, getting with somebody that has gone through these experiences, because it's going to help you in your journey to, some of your growth, some of your learning, some of your transformations, some of your healing that you're going to have to go through and kind of unlearn a lot of the things that you have learned, if you will. Now, I've got my latest article out if you want to go to the Intuitive Prospector page. My latest article is out if you want to read it. It's called The Spiritual Journey and Navigating the Depths of the Soul. It's also tied to my last podcast that I did last a couple weeks ago. So if you want to check those out, the article is up on my page. The podcast link is also in that article through Best American Psychics. And it really just gives you some tips and things that I've learned along my journey to help you on your journey. If you've had this awakening, if you had these abilities that were just dormant and then all of a sudden just appeared. I was 27 when these abilities appeared. I was sensitive, but I didn't know what it meant, right? I didn't understand it. I didn't have the knowledge, education, or the mentorship or people to guide me down this path. And I've had some really amazing, well-known mentors over the years that have helped me to identify, to mature, to step into what it means to be a seer, because we have opened, technically, there's no woo-woo to this, right? I come from a very educational, scientific method, analytical, logical approach to the physical world and what I see here. But when that third eye, which is very ancient, called the pineal gland, that ties into many cultures around the world, when we have opened that third eye here, and you can get to the third eye, a good body measurement is just take your thumb to the bottom of your chin, touch your nose, and then keep that and just shift up. And if you point, this is called the third eye chakra, the brow chakra, the third eye. And the reason we call it the third eye is because it's shaped like our eyes. It's in the center of the brain. It uses I believe if I remember, it uses the second most blood flow from the heart as it goes to the brain behind the aorta distributes, right? The blood out goes up to this pineal gland, but it's also protected because it's it's a gland that's attacked by different things that we take in to our system. But the actual makeup of the pineal gland, which is ancient knowledge, is same fluid, same tissue, if you will, and it's about the size of a walnut and it's shaped like an eye. So that's why we call this the third eye. So if you're a seer, if you are seeing things before they happen, just like I said, I forecasted and podcasted a lot of different things that I see in our roaring 20s, the transformation decade, that we're going to look back at and go, holy smokes, that was quite transformative, quite evolutionary, based on just the chaos, but also the ignorance and the different realities based on creation of our social media and our technology, and evolving through that to where we're going to get past the roaring 20s and really become a species that's more integrated in the conscious level, moving in a sense from the third dimension into a fourth dimensional construct. And science is showing this. Science has proven that time has sped up. And if time speeds up, that means time is moving faster. Now, again, we're the only species that measures life by time, and we're the only species that pays to live here. But if you realize that things are speeding up, things are getting faster, that means a frequency from a physics standpoint, from a scientific standpoint, things are moving faster. And when the vibration speeds up or increases, time speeds up, increases, things that were once unseen can become seen. For example, if I was to speed up the heart rate, the frequency of how my heart is beating right now in this modern current time in this physical matter flesh suit, if I speed this up in my frequency of my heart, eventually I would disappear from the physical eye based on matter, because I'm now vibrating at a different frequency and I'm at a faster frequency. So if I get faster, 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 I actually would disappear to the physical eye, right? So that's kind of interesting, based on physics, based on quantum physics. And, if you're a seer, it's really because something has changed in your life, whether it was grief and trauma like me, or you've had a near-death experience, or you've had just a profound dream, or you experienced something, maybe, you had an experience with something bigger than yourself that you just don't understand. And what happens is that's where the intuitive prospector, I believe everybody is intuitive, and you start to prospect for not only what's within, the diamond within, but also the many diamonds and gems and riches that are out in our physical material world. And that's what the intuitive prospector concept that I am and that I teach on and I share with others, that's what it's all about. But if you're a seer and you're catching me today, they're here on Facebook. Sorry, my hair's getting long. I can actually get it into a ponytail now. So don't tell my wife, she doesn't like it, but my hair is getting longer. But it's really about navigating and trying to understand your place in the world, because it's your focus determines your own reality, right? And it's just, as a seer, I didn't understand what was happening based on the experiences that happened to me, including the near-death experience. I had an OBE, which is an out-of-body experience. I had an interaction in my Coast Guard days with a UFO, a UAP. I've had a near-death experience in a river accident. And then, of course, what I started to do spiritually when I started connecting to my brothers and my father-in-law that had moved from the physical life through death into not seeing them, but them coming through my clairvoyance. So if you're a seer, that means that something has triggered within you, that you've opened up your third eye. And the psychic abilities one of the abilities is to see future events. Now, I haven't subscribed, and I'm not sure I believe that the future is set in stone. I think free will and choice will always play a part of that. But like I said, I was meditating last week, and I had this strong, last week or the week before, I can't remember. It's like everything is a blur in time, right? But I shared with my group, it's a private group called SDG, Spiritual Development Group. Hello to my members if you're watching. But it's a group that we meet online via Zoom, and we have people from the United States, Canada, and over in Europe, UK, Wales, and we share, because it's nice to have that community to share. Like, are you seeing something? Are you feeling something? Are you knowing something? And I just had this real sense of knowing that the current president was going to step down, and I said within 72 hours. Now, was I right on the hours? No, it was about 96 hours, about 4 days after that forecast, after that prediction. But it's seeing the future and being like, okay, what does that mean? And obviously that decision, historical in nature, has changed the energy, has changed the dynamics of the whole presidential elections that are, the races that are taking place in the United States, which is, we are a very divided country. And I've also, if you followed my work, I said that we would have some sort of national divorce at some point, that the 50 states that we know today in the future will not look like the full United States, whether that's, through succession of states leaving, like Portugal did with Spain, civil war, which would be our second civil war, revolution. I think that's just part of historical nature to, divide based on your beliefs and your ideology. It's sad, but that's also humans, right? That's the human condition. That's the human ego, if you will. But going back to Gene Roddenberry and what he talked about, and again, you can get these tips that I'm talking about on my latest article, The Spiritual Journey: Navigating the Depths of the Soul, to help you with this uncomfortability of becoming a seer. Because again, I didn't raise my hand and say, I want to be a psychic, I want to be a medium. And I knew going into this how this burden, this blessing that I was experiencing was going to have an impact on not only myself, but my relationships, my friends, my family. And so this is the quote that I'd come up with, and I just want to share this with you today. To be a seer is both a burden and a blessing that requires being bold, brave, and balanced. Now, when I say balance, balance isn't something that you go out and find. Being balanced is something that you create within your life. So I'll say that again. To be a seer is both a burden and a blessing that requires being bold, brave, and balanced. And if you want to step into your higher self, to know thyself. But for those of you that are just been on the journey for a while, for those of you that are just beginning, to be a seer, you may find that you have trouble connecting with others because we can see different timelines. And I definitely know that as my spiritual journey has progressed, I've connected with people here in the social media world, my YouTube channel, TikTok, all of that. That's fine and dandy. I'm not a big fan of social media anymore. I just try to use the platform for positivity and communication and inspiration, education, and motivation. That's where my mindset is. But I'm not a big fan of social media anymore because I've just seen so much just negative stuff that can cause anxiety and cause reactions based on the actions that people say behind a keyboard. But you may, through this awakening process, to be that seer that I'm talking about, we see different things when we interact with people. And it's funny when people, I don't, if I'm in a social setting, I don't say I'm a psychic medium, I'm an intuitive spiritual coach. But when people find out, usually through conversation or through other channels or other people, the first thing that they say to me, 9 times out of 10, is, "Are you picking up anything on me?" And I'll say, "No, because I'm not tuning into you. That's your private, yeah, I could if I wanted to, but I don't want to. It's just like seeing everybody's stuff, and I don't care to see that, right?" So you start to realize, that you may have trouble connecting with other people. And I said, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time now. With my journey of the intuitive prospector, and my relationships have changed personally, both friends and family. Not in a bad way, but it's just I can't have the same relationships because I'm not the same person. I'm not vibrating, and my belief systems have completely changed, and I've unlearned a lot of stuff that I was taught growing up, and had to unlearn that, right, and learn to what was right for me. And no judgment or opinion for my past. It's just that's my choice, but also your relationships will change on that. And some people, like I said, if you no longer fit within that community conditioning, then people will label you as crazy. And I don't think it's crazy. I think it's actually, yeah, I think we're all a little crazy, right? But at the same time, we're crazy and sinners, right? But at the same time, it's awakening to something bigger than yourself. And I think that's the coolest thing. But again, to be a seer, your relationships will change. So, connecting with others, because we can see different timelines, and those other people don't see that. They don't choose to see it, or they don't want to see it. Ignorance is bliss. Keep the blinders on. That's fine. There are people put in our past that don't evolve, and that's to teach us what not evolving looks like. But at the end of the day, it's all about your journey. What you want to put in, you'll get out. What you want to prospect, find the diamond within, which is technically a piece of coal stuck down in the darkness under extreme pressures that eventually turns into diamonds, right? And we know how we love diamonds. And today is Diamonds Day, first Friday of every month. If you're one of my subscribers here on the Diamonds Hub, make sure to subscribe. You can go right here to marclainhart.com if you want. $4.99. And then if you're one of my Patreon prospectors, 2 sessions today that you can only access through the closed off pages, the subscription pages. But the first Friday of every month is my way of giving back. You can come into the Zoom room, we can have a conversation, we can have a reading, mediumship, psychic, intuitive, whatever it be. That first session will start. The first morning session is at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you just click on that link in the page if you're one of the subscribers, Patreon or Diamonds Hub. And then later this afternoon at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time is the afternoon session, because not all my clients can make the morning session. But just a caveat, I will be downtown, so I may have to step out for the 3:30 session. I'll be on my mobile Zoom profile to connect with you if that's what you want. We're actually going to go down and watch the Blue Angels down at the Columbia Tower, which is great, amazing, wonderful experience. So, and then I head out for vacation for a few days. So if you want to connect on Diamonds Day, today's the first Friday, it's August. Look forward to connecting with you. But today's message about being a seer. And again, being a seer is both a burden and a blessing, and it requires us to be bold, it requires us to be brave, and it also requires us to be balanced. So, as a seer, like I said, your relationships may change. They may not, they will change. I guarantee you 100% they will change. You will change, your energy change, and those around you either align to you or no longer align to you. And that's fine. You can still love people from a distance and still have friendships and, without the judgment. But that's unfortunately that's not the world we live in. There's a lot of critics, a lot of opinions, especially through social media, which is unfortunate, and will end up being our demise at some point, to where that whole thing falters, just like the monetary system that Gene Roddenberry talked about, and the past the 21st century, that we will not necessarily be a monetary system, that we will actually work as a species for the greater good, for the greater humanity, and everybody will treat with equal. Again, how can you have trillionaires and billionaires and people that can barely, survive and that are homeless, including our veterans who served this great country to make it what it is? So, there's things that are very unbalanced. And when things are unbalanced, that's when the levee breaks, right? So I see that. I see a future of universal income. I see a future of reparations for the crimes against humanity that were done to found this country, whether it was against slaves, against the indigenous cultures, a lot of people, men, women, and children that were executed through genocide. These are reparations that we're going to have to come to terms with, and I see us moving forward. And eventually, the money, something will change with that monetary system. And again, you can learn about Gene Roddenberry, who wrote Star Trek, but after he passed, his wife confirmed through many articles and writings that he was known as a seer. He could see things, and so he wrote things down starting in the late 50s, which then birthed the episodes of Star Trek. It wasn't on for very long on the television, I think 2 years maybe. But even at the time, it was quite controversial because it was the first interracial kiss between Uhura and Captain Kirk on TV, right? And then later they came out with the movie, and then Star Trek became much bigger it is today than it was in the 60s. But he would write a lot of stuff, not just with Star Trek, but a lot of other things. So if you're ever interested in learning more about Gene Roddenberry, who was a known seer, check that out. Carl Sagan was another one. The Sleeping Prophet, Edgar Cayce, was another one. There's a lot of people that are known and not so well known that are seers. And again, if you're a seer, you have opened up the third eye. To just break it down, it's nothing woo-woo. You're not sacrificing. You're not dancing around a fire naked. I mean, you could, I guess, if that's your thing. But you're not doing all these weird things. What you're doing is you're opening something within your mind and expanding your mind, right? And it's if you don't expand your mind, it's like a parachute, right? It doesn't work if you don't expand the parachute, right? And so the pineal gland gets activated through something within the material world, through something of your soul adventure, through your experiences, through your education, through what you've gone through. And so what happens is, as you open this up, you start to see, one of the aspects is seeing a future that hasn't happened yet. And for me, when I was going through this, I didn't understand, like, what do I do with this? Like, how do I process this? And so a lot of times it comes down to journaling. Put this in a journal. This is my third journal. I've got a few pages left in my second journal of stuff that I've written down in my experiences. And then I can go back and say, oh, that's what I was seeing. But we can't change the future, right? The only thing we change is ourselves. And Mother Teresa talked about this all the time. She can't change the world by herself, but she can skip a pebble across the pond, and that ripple effect. And that's what I opened the show with, the ripple. Everything we do is a ripple. And I believe that we are moving forward to a higher fourth dimensional construct based on technology, based on, meeting through the Zoom platform, through social media. AI is now starting to be incorporated at a much bigger level. Space exploration, science, communications, even medicine. The medicine that I've gone through this last 10 months of just my medical transformation based on my back surgery. I have in my back 3D printed. Think about that. That wasn't a concept 5-7 years ago. They used to use plastic. Now I have 3D printed to my spine based on the measurements of my spine. I've got a 1/2-inch disc spacer in my spine that's 3D printed, titanium, right? So I have all this hardware in my back now that's all 3D printed titanium. So I'm actually part of this medical advancement based on science and based on materials, and it's helped me tremendously. That's why people are living longer, because we are evolving. I'm now to my lowest weight that I've been in probably 5 years pre-surgery, because I just couldn't do anything. I was, miserable and in pain all the time, and depressed. And how do I get past this? And now with the surgery, I'm down. I've lost over 51 pounds. Hopefully you've seen the transformation, growing out the hair longer and slimming down the body. But I'm at a weight I haven't probably seen in 5 years, which impacts the mind. But that's based on medicine helping me to continue on my journey. And that's ascension, that's transformation, that's evolution. And I see that. So if you're catching this episode, just be patient with yourself is what I would say. Give yourself a lot of grace. Try to find the magic in the present moment. Future is something of a crapshoot. It's not guaranteed to anybody. And just set up reminders. I got one right there. The best part about the future is it comes one day at a time, and it's right now. It's today, and we can't change the past. What I just said is now in the past. I can't change that. So when you realize that the present moment is where transformation and healing and growth really can take place, you start to step into your natural abilities. And I say natural because these abilities have been around for a long, long time. And again, it all comes back to activating the pineal gland. So if you're a seer and your relationships are suffering, it's because you're seeing different things that other people don't see. They always say, what's the saying? If you see something, if you have a hallucination or you see something, and you tell somebody, people call you crazy. But if you read about somebody in a book that had the same thing 2,000 years ago, they call that religion, right? So it's a very interesting concept. But as a seer, you can really bring in some powerful manifestations and visualizations, but you just have to be very careful where you put your attention, right? Because your focus determines your reality. And if you're putting a lot of your focus into the negative aspects of life, then that's what's going to come back, right? So I'm challenging you today, and I'm recommending, if you subscribe to it, to always focus on the good things that are coming to your life. To maybe take the time to disconnect so you can have that time to reconnect. That's very, very important. And again, to be a seer is both a burden and a blessing that requires you to be bold, brave, and balanced in this journey. So that's today's message. Let me go over to the Facebook page because it dropped out again. Again, we have Mercury retrograde that starts in 2 days. This one, this one's going to be a doozy. It feels, again, to be a seer, it feels like it's going to be a doozy. We're going to see some historical information. We're going to see some historical transformations. I can't remember. I looked up on the Farmer's Almanac, but I can't remember. I think it's the 21st. It usually is a couple of weeks of Mercury retrograde. So just a reminder, during retrograde, communications are always impacted. I've got a podcast this week. Wait, we're in August. I'm looking at July. I do not have a podcast this on next Wednesday. On the 14th, we'll be back. And I can already expect that we'll have some technology connection issues. Every time we go into retrograde, the podcast based on the frequencies gets wonky, the servers, right? So, with retrograde, just give yourself patience, give yourself grace. If you're traveling, allow for extra time. That's that patience and planning. If you're in the middle of signing any big contracts, I would do it today or tomorrow. And then if not, wait until after this retrograde is over to sign any kind of legal documentation. Or that just reminded me, I have legal documentation I need to sign. So I need to do it today. Hopefully I'll get it. for my lawyers, because otherwise I'm gonna have to wait. Light bulb moment, sorry. But it's really just being mindful of the material world, because your material world does impact you. I teach on the PEMS, the physical, the emotional, the mental, which I love watching the Olympics because all the athletes have been talking about the mental construct, the material, and the spiritual, right? That's the PEMS. It's a good acronym to remember, that you're more than just a physical flesh suit put on this planet to pay your taxes, work a 9-to-5 job, to buy stuff you can't take with you after you die anyway. So it really is about the physical, paying attention to your physical body, paying attention to your emotional body, paying attention to your material body or your mental body, paying attention to what the material world influences and how it reacts and how you react to it. And then, of course, your spiritual journey, which may be unlocking to be a seer with that. So good morning. A couple of you joining in. Good to see you. Hi, Valerie. Hi, Katie. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Mom. Good morning to all. Over there. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat board. We'll get into a little reading here today. Again, today is Diamonds Day, first Friday of every month. If you're part of my subscription based here on the Diamonds Hub, or based over on my Patreon Prospectors subscription, my paid members, if you're a free member, because I have some free members over my Patreon, you'll stay in the waiting room for Zoom. You have to be a paid subscriber to have the access to Diamonds Day. Again, first Friday of every month. You can get all the information at marclainhart.com. You can get to those links if you want. You can check out my latest article tied to my podcast about the spiritual journey and navigating the depths of the soul, and some tips to maybe help you if you're going through this journey of awakening and transformation, or healing, or ascension, or whatever that may be, because it's different for everybody, right? I'm going to start working on my newsletters. This surgery really set me back to be able to write, but this is the first article I've written since March, I think. And that was published out through Best American Psychic. So I'm starting to get back into my writings, working on my second book. And then I will work on my newsletter, Soul Adventures. I've really been really tardy in not doing that. So I know some of you are on the newsletter, and give you some updates, what's coming up for August and September and October. But I just want to say I appreciate you. Thanks for being here with me today. I hope that you've had a great week. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you're enjoying your summer. But again, if you are, somebody that's starting to have these abilities, and you're unsure what to do with them, start to read ancient texts, start to read ancient writings. There's a lot of information from India to Asia to England to the United States of some very well-known authors and gurus, and maybe some that you don't know. One of my books that I've really been into is this one. This was written in 1931. His name's Arthur Finley. There's a college that he left his estate to for the Spiritual National Union in just north of London. And this is called On the Edge of the Etheric. And the etheric is what we would call heaven, Summerland, the afterlife. This was written in 1931. And, there's concepts in here that back in 1931, I'm sure were quite controversial based on his writings. But we accept them, years later, we accept them to be like, oh, he was onto something. So, read ancient texts. You have the power of technology and the internet and YouTube. Go watch some of those that aligns to you, that it makes sense. It has a little bit of logic and a little bit of reasoning, a little bit of science behind it. And again, what aligns to you? Find yourself teachers, mentors, tutors that have experienced and have gone through, kind of like a Jedi master, what they've gone through, and you as a Padawan have yet to experience all the failures that we as spiritual teachers have gone through, the transformations, the pain, the loss, but also the new beginnings. So so again, to be a seer, to move into your what I believe are natural abilities, just like we have our 5 senses of see it, taste it, touch it, hear it, smell it. I believe that we have our clairs, which is the clairvoyance, the clairsentience, the claircognizance, the clairaudience, the clairfactoria, the clairgustance. These are the spiritual gifts that you can move into. But again, it's going to require, the mindset. It can be a burden of what you see coming, and then it transforms into something you're like, that was horrible. But it can also be a blessing because you can help people through that. But it requires you to be bold, it requires you to be brave, and it requires you to be balanced, not spending too much time in either of those as a seer. Seeing of this world, see of the other world. And it's what's cool about this book. Somebody pointed this out to me. this book is really cool because it's a reflection between worlds, but then you turn it upside down, and is it right side up or is it upside down? And then you can turn to and it looks like kind of like wings, or kind of like, so it's a very cool cover. Whoever designed it through Best American Sidekicks, I didn't have anything to do with that, but I do believe in worlds within worlds, and it's fascinating because even our movies and our art of modern times is talking more and more about multidimensional. We just went to Deadpool and Wolverine. Fun. If you're into that, great movie, fun, laugh, some of the best opening that I've seen in a long time. But it is the concept of multidimensional theory, string theory, fourth dimensional construct. Even in our movies, we're starting to talk about that. Our science is starting to experiment with, is this a reality? There's some physicists right now that are challenging the status quo to test if this is a reality, or if we're part of, some of you may know this, I've got it right here. In the movie Interstellar, he goes to what's called a tesseract. And this is, I got this at one of my fairs a couple of years ago. And this is, if you think about multi-dimensional construct, fourth dimensional, the cube, right? This is called the tesseract. And that's why I have this, because it reminds us that, quantum physics says for every choice we make here in this physical world, quantum physics says that there is a alternative reaction based that's opposite of what we do here. Einstein talked about energy, a spooky energy at a distance, I think is what he referred to it. Whereas if you have one atom over here and you stimulate it based on heat or speed it up or cold, regardless of distance, the reaction is simultaneous. You can be clear across the universe, and what you do here triggers it here at the same time, right? And so that's what quantum physics, and this is called a tesseract. That's what I have as a reminder, that we are, capable of connecting to something bigger than ourselves, either as a seer. The mind is even, science has deemed that we can actually, the mind itself can actually receive in 12 different frequencies. So that's quite fascinating to me. But, it's in today's society, that can be an uncomfortable place to be with your abilities. Because again, what you're experiencing, the other person may not have any knowledge or experience of. And, we are in such a society of opinion and judgments. And, just remember though, for every finger that you point out, there's 3 pointing back at us. And I'm just sharing my experiences with you. And, I've had some great teachers, some great mentors. I've read a lot of different books. I've done a lot of different seances and experiences in plant medicines. And I would challenge you, if you want to become an intuitive prospector, to trigger your own intuition and tune into something bigger than yourself, then do that. Get off the social media, get off the whatever news cycle you're following. I was talking with my colleague, and we were talking about it, the hypocrisy. It's clearly spelled out, y'all. If you just look at the word television, we say TV today, but the actual definition of TV is to tell a vision. So you turn on this electrical construct, and it's telling you a vision, and then your free will and choice is based on what channel you pick. But then you pick a channel. I'm thinking of all the different news cycles, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, CNBC, whatever, there's a ton on cable news. But once you tune into that, you are now tuning into a program, right? So it's spelled out for us right here, right now, to tell a vision. And based on your free will and choice, you pick a program. It's programming you to determine your reality based on, maybe you see far left, maybe you see far right, maybe you see more moderate. That's the problems with politics today, is it's creating multiple realities, some based on facts and others not based on facts, right? So think about what you're taking in, garbage out, right? Be mindful of what you're doing and interacting with the material world. I've gotten off a lot of my social media. I post for, like I said, for my spiritual practice and to connect and help people, but that's really about it, is all I'm doing now. And I really am mindful of the news cycles that I watch, the programming. So television is the television, and then you choose based on your free will and what you align to at the time, because what you believed 20 years ago may not be the same beliefs of what you believe now. And that's okay. That's growth. That's learning. That's growing pains. That's evolution. That's ascension. That's transformation. But once you click that channel, you're now receiving information based on a program. You're being programmed. So be mindful of that. Be aware of that, because it is really disruptive to our communities. It's very disruptive to our cultures. It's very disruptive to the human condition. And in the end, I do see the great coming together. I know there's a lot going on right now, but I forecasted and podcasted about this great coming together in our future during our roaring 20s. I also said that we would learn that we're not alone in the universe, right? And science is teaching us that, and we're becoming more accepting of that. But there will always be a population that won't be accepting, because it disrupts their status quo, it disrupts their belief systems, and that's okay, right? This is your journey. This is where you're at, what you're exploring to become the intuitive prospector. So go ahead and get your questions loaded up. I've got 14 decks here today. Again, if you want to get my book and just get some reflections, you can get this through Amazon. 14 decks today, or you can ask for a book read. You can ask for a color card. You know what? Oh, good look here. It's whatever you want. And then at 11:30, I will shift over to the other Zoom room for my subscribers for your free reading, if that's what you want today. It's hot. It's hot today in Seattle. I love it. So again, how this works, one comment, one reading per person. My wife's taking off. One reading per person. This allows me to get to everybody. If you're a prospector, Patreon prospector, subscriber, I look for those badges because it tells me that you're a subscriber. So I work with those people first. Or if you're a star sender, you send me stars to help buy coffee for each show. That's what I'm looking for when I'm interacting with you. And as I interact with you, you know, we have my moderators pay attention to the comments to keep the community clean, positive, uplifting. So if you come in like a spam call, or you're a bot, or you're trolling, you'll get booted out and reported to Facebook, and you'll be blocked out of the community. So don't do that. You know, ask your question, be respectful, be kind, be compassionate. You know, we can, like I said, we can always agree to disagree. You may disagree with what I'm saying, that's okay, but we can still have civility and respect for one another. You know, and most importantly, let's have fun. And let's see what we can get for you. So let's get on to your questions. Let me get over to the Facebook page. Let me just ramp up my energy. Like I said, this fall, I'm going to try to start my Experience Etheric. If you're interested in learning more about what I'm talking about today, being a seer, being a psychic, being a medium, using your intuition, using your spirituality path to connect through music, through sound baths, through mediumship. I'm going to be teaching, hopefully this fall is my goal. My surgery really just set everything back. But this fall, I'm going to try to do it through Facebook Live or my YouTube channel. So make sure you're subscribed to one of those to get more information, or get on my newsletter, Solar Ventures. Again, everything right here at marclainhart.com. All right, so let me just get some, let's get a song going here real quick. Load your questions up and I'll come read them here in just a sec. Let me get some water and just shift my energy for you. But just enjoy this song real quick while we get ready. just had to refocus, reshift my energy. That artist's name is Jenna Bell. It's called Make It Your Moment. Just so everybody knows, all the music that I use in my podcast or my shows or my YouTube channel, they're all copyright free, trademark free. I shouldn't say copyright because sometimes my YouTube channel, they'll say that there's a copyright, but there's no royalties, there's no trademark infringement. So I always let you know who I'm playing, which is, again, her name is Jenna Bell, Make It Your Moment. So if you like that song, make sure to check her out. The other song was called The Ripple Effect, what I opened the show with, and that's by Spends Quality. So these are all Meta approved tracks that Meta's already approved for me to play on my show. So I just wanted to point that out. So, all right, so let's get into some diamonds. Let's share those diamonds, if you will. Share those diamonds. One more time, everybody take a deep breath. Allow me to just tune into you and your questions. All right, so we've got, Katie says, thanks, Mark. I've had these abilities as long as I can remember. Yeah, so you were probably, Katie, you were probably naturally born with it. I came to it later in life through trauma and tragedy is really how it impacted me. So good morning to Adriana. How are you, my friend? Odith, good to see you. Good Friday to you. Okay, so a couple of you, Adriana, can I get a card from deck 7, please? Thank you. Yeah, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this is my atomic deck. It kind of reminds me of like the atom. I got this deck. It was given to me when I was down in Palm Springs, but it's a fun deck. Which cool is when you do a reading, you can actually set them up kind of like the James Webb Telescope, like all the like a honeycomb. You can put them all together in a reading. So I'll give you 2 of these cards, and we'll just see, Adriana, what 2 cards, and we'll put them together to see if that makes sense for you. So now that we're in the reading section of today's show, go ahead and put into your comments when I'm working with you at the digital level, the quantum level, and I know that you're still interacting with the show. Adriana's on deck. She wants deck number 7, and then type in the word stop. For you, Adriana, hit stop and let me know twice. So first stop will be the first card, and then the second card, because they really connect like a honeycomb. So Adriana, and you can see like Adriana and Odith and Katie all have badges next to their name, so that tells me that they're on the journey with me, either as a subscriber or follow the page. So I'm shuffling for you, Adriana. So stop. First card. Okay, do it one more time, Adriana. Shuffling when you hear the word stop in your mind, because what this does, this allows you to give your free will and choice into the energy of working together on the digital aspect. So stop. Second card. Okay, thank you, my friend. And then Odith, I'm sorry, Katie, you're on deck, and then followed by Odith. And then anybody else, if you want to come into the Zoom room, I'll get that link for you here. 1 second here. Let me get that link here real quick. Copy invite link. Go. And here we go, Adriana. Here's your diamonds for today. All right, so the first card that we pulled was the compassion card, right? So this is the red energy. So this is the lower chakras of the energy system. But it's talking about having compassion for your current self and relationships. So a lot of times you can see the circle energy, what we're connected to, finding your true north, but that big compassion energy for you. And then the second card was to line up and connect. Like I said, they connect like a honeycomb, is to play with that. So play with your compassion, but also play with life, because this color is matters connected to the heart, the color green. So the red is more of getting down to the root chakras, based on financial, based on sexuality, based on belief, is this, and apply compassion, and then apply that playing energy with both compassion and just playing in life, right? That's very important. So these connect in that aspect. Does that make sense for you, Adriana? I'll switch over to the Intuitive Prospector and get you a link if anybody wants to come in and have a chat via the Zoom room. Okay, so we'll switch over to that. All right, so Katie, how about a number card? Your call. All right, well, you said number card. So we'll go numerology, because numerology is all based on numbers, right? All right, so Katie, when you hear the word stop in your mind, I'll do the shuffle on my end. That means that we're interacting together, and you just type in stop. You're welcome, Adriana. So Katie's on at the plate taking swings. Stop. All right, thank you. And then Odith, you're up next. All right, so the card chosen based on your free will and choice today is teaching and learning. So this is a 5 and a 7 energy. The 5 represents freedom, love, adventure. 7 represents truth, finding truth, seeking truth, revealing truth, hearing truth, which isn't always easy, right? So the 12 energy, those add up to 12, which is a 3 energy. So there's something with you, Katie, about creative, expressive type of energy, and that can be done through teaching, but also learning. So teaching, you said you have these abilities, so maybe you should be learning to go deeper with these abilities, or teaching others that have maybe gone through what you've gone through, since you're more of a natural, and people are born naturally. One of my members in my group on Wednesday, she's been with this for her whole life. Like she's naturally born with that. So I'll put the Zoom link in. And Katie, does that make sense for you, my friend? Teaching and learning. Remember those 3 numbers, 5, 7, and 3, from a number standpoint, because the universe does talk to us, whether you want to believe that or not. Signs, symbols, synergy, synchronistic events. I'm going to put the feeling grateful avatar. So look for the feeling grateful avatar, and then I'll paste the Zoom link with that as well. Maybe if Facebook will let me. There we go. Oh, well, it already went up. That's interesting. So the Zoom link is right below it. So again, technology is a little slow today. We were about 10 minutes late coming on, just for the fact that I couldn't get Zoom to work out very well. So the Zoom link's there. Okay, so it just popped up. Okay, Oda, you're next, my friend. Can I get a card of your choice? Thanks. Yeah, let's go. Card of my choice. I'm gonna go. I haven't used this deck in a while. It's a crystal deck. Well, it's got messages, but let's see what the beauty is. So Odith, you're at the plate. You're welcome, Katie. Go ahead and type in stop when you hear the word stop, and we'll talk about that card that you choose. So, and then if anybody else, the Zoom link is out there. If my moderators could grab that, if somebody needs it. If not, then we'll call it a day, and we'll get ready for Diamonds Day over on my subscribers pages. And those links, again, free to you, usually 10 to 15 minutes per person, depending on how many people come through. 11:30, stop. Thank you. All right, so the card today is the Illumination card. This is a beautiful card. So this is the sunrise or sunset based on your perspective. Definitely a lot of nature in this card. But the illumination energy for you, Odith, is usually about bringing to light something that you've been thinking about for a long time, or fearful of doing. Or, Joseph Campbell always talks about the cave we fear holds a treasury seek. So if you can put a little bit of that bravery I was talking about earlier, or put in a little bit of that faith and that courage to keep going, there's an illumination that's going to take place, that light bulb moment, that eureka moment, that aha moment that you're like, oh, okay. But it's going to illuminate. And if you follow the universe's guidance, and again, like I said, the signs, the symbols, the synergy, and the synchronicities that can take place, if you're open to it, if you're aware to it, and you start to see that there's multiple languages and worlds and energies and frequency and vibrations, which Tesla talked about unlocking the secret of the universe all the time, it's going to be some quite illuminating energy and healing and experiences for you. So illumination, Odith, for you. Great card, actually. If you're courageous enough and brave enough to follow and seek that cave that you fear. So, all right. So I haven't used this deck in a while. So it's a beautiful deck. There's a lot of different, sayings and spirit animals, and also this was sent to me years ago, and it's kind of was tucked away here. So I felt called to do that deck for you today. Does that make sense, Odith? My hair is getting so long I can see that you guys can see I get my ponytail. So that's what you do when you get semi-retired. You grow your hair out. Something I've never done in my life, and I'm doing it now. So 51 pounds lighter, growing my hair out, becoming a hippie, I guess, if you want to call it, or a spiritualist hippie, or whatever you want to call it. All right. So thanks for being here today. I don't see any other questions coming in. So that's no worries. It's August. A lot of people are out and about. So we'll try to be here next week at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. 10, 11, 12, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We try to be here on Fridays. So if you want to come get some inspiration, some guidance, some education, some knowledge, then show up on Fridays and join me here in the community. Bring your coffee, bring your tea, bring your protein shake. Yep, I'm officially out of coffee, so I got to go top off my coffee so I can get ready for Diamonds Day. Again, thank you to my subscribers for being here, being part of the journey, tuning in when you can. Sometimes people catch this broadcast show live. Sometimes they catch it later in the week, which is fine, or catch it over on my YouTube channel now and join the community of over 20,000 strong that are trying to find out their own intuition and prospect for the many mysteries in life. So appreciate you being here. Enjoy those Blue Angels. I will. It's always fun to do. Otis says, love the card. It's an affirmation to what I've been feeling. It's a green light to my next adventure, next soul adventure, right? So go do it and have the courage and be brave enough to do that. So I hope you enjoyed today's interaction. Again, if you're a seer, give yourself time, give yourself grace, give yourself patience. A lot of this can stir up a lot of things, a lot of self-sabotage, a lot of doubts. And then, of course, if you throw in, you let people know that you're having these experiences, it can throw in a lot of judgment and opinions and people with, pundits and, trying to fix you. It's like, I don't need fixing. I need to prospect for what's right for me. So, all right. So any other questions? If I missed anybody real quick, please put a bump with a star in your question, because sometimes I don't see all the questions asked real time. Sometimes there's a delay. So I just want to give you that opportunity. If I did miss you, go ahead and post that bump with your question, and then I can answer it real quick. Or come to the Zoom room if you want to have a chat. Nobody wants to come to the Zoom room. It's kind of interesting. Everybody's shy. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Okay, so let me cue up some music. Thanks again for joining me. Today is Diamonds Day. We'll throw up the diamonds one more time. Get over on the subscribers page if you want to have a conversation privately in the Zoom room or a reading. Happy to do that for my subscribers. And until our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Most importantly, wherever you're out in the world, whatever's going on in your journey, dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. And I hope that you will discover that diamond within and discover all the many hidden gems and mysteries of life that are all around us if you choose to. Is it Simone or Simon? Sorry, Simone Randall. Would it be good for me to move to Wisconsin? Take a deep breath. Let me just tune into that energy of that question. To be honest, Simone, I'm just going to say Simone. If it's Simon, I apologize because I can't. It's hard to, based on the spelling, but I'll go with Simone. Based on that energy of the words, there's some barriers to that with me. There is definitely some red flags, some red tape, which red tape is a term used for, I don't know if you knew this or not, but back in the day, you could actually walk up to the White House and get a piece of red tape and go through the lines to actually meet the president of the United States. You can't do that to this day and age, but they give you this red tape. In that red tape, sometimes you'd be in that queue for a long time and never meet the president. So that's where the term red tape comes from. That you're given, access, but nothing gets done, right? So for that question, for me, it just feels like there's some work that would need to be done for you to go to Wisconsin. And again, this is based on the emotions, it's based on the physical, it's based on relationships, based on career. So there's a lot of work that's going to need to be done for it to be good for you. As of right now, no, it doesn't feel good. It feels quite opposite. Now, that doesn't mean it could change in the future. But I'm saying wait, step back and look at the entire picture before you actually make the move. Because what doesn't fit right now, energetically, based on what I'm feeling, might be completely different 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and then the timing is right. Timing is everything, right? So that's what I would say for you, Simone. Does that make sense? And again, it's free will and choice. So you can take my recommendation or not. So, I've worked with people all around the world. So, and I get all sorts of different questions, but just based on the energy of the words, what I'm seeing, it just feels like a whole pause and wait for right now. It just does not feel good. Red flag, red tape, some barriers that you'd have to work through on that. So, okay. You're welcome, my friend. Thanks for your question. Anybody else? Last minute questions? I'm going to cue up our song. What's a good song to take us out with today? Oh, let's go pop. What do we have for pop? I'm thinking pop because I went to Deadpool and Wolverine, and they opened up with NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye, and I can't get it out of my head. It's quite funny. Let's go. Let's try Blessings by Charlie Peacock. It's a pop genre. We'll see what it's like. So many blessings to you. Lots of love. Thanks for hanging out with me today. See you next week. Next Friday at 10 a.m. You can catch my podcast on the 14th. We'll be live back on the air for Inspired Living. You can get the podcast wherever you get your favorite, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast platforms. We stream through them all now. Check out my latest article. Get my book. Visit me at marclainhart.com if you want to book a reading, because I book out usually a month to 2 months in advance now. But would love to hear from you. I'd love to connect with you, and most importantly, love to prospect with you. So have a great rest of your Friday. Enjoy your summer. Get ready for Mercury retrograde in 2 days, and we'll see you next Friday. All right, my friends. Take care. Namaste.
Each new blessing I receive, blessings falling down on me. Each new blessing I receive. Oh.
One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lainhart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.